First night in the new syndicate water then. And as you can see, it's a large piece of water that we've got this time. This venue's in Nottinghamshire, and it has taken me quite a while to get down here. Normally I stick to waters that are about 45 minutes drive from work or where I live, but this one's taken me an hour 15 to get down the A1. Pretty busy traffic, but it's a little bit further than I normally travel as well, so we'll see how we get on with the place, because it might be a little bit difficult to do overnights in between work on here, but at the moment I'm really excited to be here. I've got 4 rods out, and I arrived about 5 o'clock this evening and came through the gate and didn't even get a chance to drive all the way around the lake, because as soon as I got to this area I started seeing 1 or 2 fish boshing out in front of here, so it made sense to me for my first night to just set up on where there are fish showing. And I did find out as well from 1 or 2 of the lads that there've been a few fish out of this end of the lake over the weekend, so it makes sense to do my first trip here. I'm only staying till sort of 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I've got to be off for work again, but I've got 4 rods out, as you can see, and found some nice features out there as well. We've got some ups and downs, some plateaus and some bars, etc. So what I've chosen to do really is to spread the rods out. I'm allowed to use 4 rods on this venue, and the 2 rods on the left hand side I've got on a plateau that's about 12 foot deep, with a few sort of drop offs either side of it, and a few sort of gravelly bars and, you know, bits and pieces on the bottom that sort of look ideal really for carp, because it's surrounded by a lot of deep water that drops down to sort of 23-24 foot. And the right hand set, that's a really exciting area over there. That's in 11 foot of water. Both those rods are on another plateau, which I believe is one of the best features on the lake, so that's looking really good for tonight, because I have seen a couple of fish bosh over the top of there as well. Now both the areas I've not really put too much bait out. I've just got the old throwing stick and put about 10 or 15 baits around each rod, and just fished a single bottom bait over the top. So we'll see how we get on. It is the middle of May, when waters like this do start to sort of turn on, because it's, as I said, it's quite deep, and I do find that a lot of the deeper waters, they do tend to start switching on a little bit later than the other venues. And as I say, this weekend there was 1 or 2 fish that did get caught, and according to the locals, that's the sign really that things are going to start to kick off on here. So let's see how we get on, but exciting times to be here. Well, it's always nice to get your first fish from a new water, and this old warrior, been through the wars over the years, plenty of battle marks on him. This is my first fish from the big pit, so very happy indeed. No wonder it was a cold night last night. We've got a wall of fog in front of us, which I presume's come off the nearby river, but just about to start packing up. It's probably about 6:30 in the morning now. Got a photograph of fish down there, which is in the retainer, which you can just see, which I've just had. I'm on 4 fish now, so I'm starting to put the pieces together a little bit. And I'm only fishing overnight, so I've not done any days yet. I've not had a chance, but this is the 4th different swim that I've fished, and this is really the going swim, really. It's called the point. And what you've got out here is a large plateau which drops down to sort of 11-12 foot in places, and that's the main area, according to a lot of the locals, that's been doing a lot of fish lately. There's been, I think, 330s off there this week, but I've not been able to get on it yet at all. And I dropped on it last night. It turned up about 7:30 at night. It was just going dark, and well, say just going dark. It was dark because there was a lot of rain about, but some lad was in here and he just pulled out just at the right time, and I dropped in here and literally just put 3 rods out onto the plateau, the 2 on the left and the 1 on the left of the right hand set, and scattered a little bit of bait about, because I have been getting fish really on sort of half a dozen or so baits around each hook bait, but the right hand rod, which I literally just blasted into no man's land, and I presume that sort of fell into about 20-25 foot of water, which I know has been doing a few fish for 1 or 2 of the lads, and that was the rod that went. It went about sort of 15-20 minutes ago, and I set a little fight and got a fat little common on the end, which, looking at it, it's probably about 23-24 pounds, something like that. But yeah, it's nice to get another one before work. I'm still feeling my way in at the moment, but this little fatty's weighed in at 22 pounds, and it's come on a single hook bait just blasted into the middle of nowhere, which fell in about 22-25 foot of water, something like that, but it feels like an absolute block of ice. It's so cold at the moment for the middle of May. We've got a fog that's come off the nearby river, but fingers crossed it's going to warm up in a little bit, because I've actually got the chance to fish all day today, so hopefully I might get to know a little bit more about this lake, because it gives me a chance to sort of get the marker rod out and cast it about a bit more than just doing a few hours here and there when I'm doing the overnighters. But yeah, nice. Well, it's a cracking day today, and there's been one or two fish cruising around on the surface, so I've got 2 rods out on zigs at the moment. Nothing's come to them, and from what I can gather, this lake doesn't really respond too well to zigs, which, you know, I am surprised about that, because it's quite a deep water, and it's quite a clear water as well. And what tends to happen on these kind of venues is the fish are obviously sight feeding quite a lot up in the upper layers. So I'll persevere with them at the moment. Probably needs a bit of slop going out there and stuff like that, really, more than anything. But at the moment I've only just put 2 sort of lone zig bugs out there, so we'll see if anything develops from it. Here we go. First 30 from the lake. It's weighed in just at 32 pounds. And now that is a good fish. A very good fish. Hard to say how big he is, but it wouldn't surprise me. If he's one of the big boys. Yeah, that looks like it could be the one with a lump on its side, which is about 39 pound. He's done 40 in the past. That fish has. He's got a right big growth on his side, and that's how I know that it's that fish, if you can see it. Well, they say that patience is a virtue, and I've spent 2 hours stalking fish close in them reeds, and this absolute peach just turned up right on time. I'm starved. I'm ready for some dinner, and I was thinking about sort of heading off back to the car to get myself sorted, so it's nice to have this one. Well, you'll have to take it from me, but conditions out there are a lot worse than they probably look from this video. It's that really fine driving rain that soaks everything in seconds, but it's perfect conditions for a big water like this. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're getting towards the end of June now, and I've been up for probably about an hour and a quarter, something like that, when I was rudely woken by a lovely mid-20 common, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But I was in 2 minds about whether to come down last night, because the conditions have been really bad on the roads. I've had an awful lot of work going on as well, but something in the back of my mind was telling me to get down here. And I had a good drive around the lake. There's a couple of 3 lads on, and normally I would have gone for the bottom end of the lake, because there was a really strong wind blowing from the top end straight down the lake, and I actually did see quite a few fish showing in that area. But I do tend to think, from the few weeks that I've been on this water now, that a lot of the shoal fish are down that bottom end, and the main 3 which I'm trying to target are sort of hanging around this middle part of the lake. Butthead, the big one in here, was caught only about a month or so ago from that far bank over there, and that's its only capture this year. And it was also the same area as well out here where the other 2 big ones in the water have been caught from. So, you know, it does look like I'm going to probably hedge my bets in this area over the next few weeks. It certainly looks a good area. There's quite a few nice features out here. We've got a lovely bay round to the left here. There was quite a few fish in here at the weekend. I myself had a couple of fish to low 20s out here, another lad had 3 out of there. But there's a nice strip of weed that runs from that bay right round the front of this swim to about 15 yards out, where it drops down to 8 foot, and it looks like the perfect interception point. So I've got a couple of rods out there, but the main feature really is a plateau that's out at about 110, 120 yards range, where it drops from 17 foot down to 22, and that's actually the area where I caught my fish from this morning. But that area I do know has done 1 or 2 of the better fish in here, so it does look like the area where I'm going to try and concentrate on, because it does look a perfect interception point, especially when the wind's blowing from that top end down the lake. So you know, I can see myself getting a nice baited area going out there and trying to fish it as regularly as I can. You can also fish that spot from that far bank over there, but that particular bank at the moment, it's very muddy over there in these conditions, and only the other day I managed to get my car stuck around there. So I've decided to sort of stick to this side for the time being until the weather holds off. But it looks like this sort of weather front's in for the next few days, so I can see myself getting down here again tonight and possibly tomorrow night to try and see where we go. But you know, for the time being, I've got to start getting packed up and heading off to work. But let's have a quick look at this fish on the bank, which is, I'm sure you'll agree, is an absolute stunner. It's a mid-20 common, and it fought like a donkey, because some deep water out there, and when you've got a fish like that plodding around in those sort of depths, it does feel a lot heavier from time to time as it makes its way to the bank. And there was at one point when I thought, ooh, is this one of the better 3? But either way, I'm very happy to see it in my net. So let's have a look at it on the bank. Well, I contemplated not coming yesterday because of the weather. We've had driving rain all day, all over the country. It was terrible driving conditions to get here, and setting up was just as bad. It was really heavy rain, and I've been holding on to the bivvy all night, wondering if one of these rods is going to go. But it's absolutely pristine common at first light this morning. Proves that you've got to be in it to win it. So I'm absolutely buzzing now. Just got to get packed up and head off back to work. Right then, take a look at this, because this is what we're competing against as anglers. That is the lid off the pan that I've just eaten my dinner out of, and it's been in the margins for probably 5 or 10 minutes, and there's literally hundreds of tiny little snails all over it. And there's literally millions of them all over the lake bed. You can't probably see it in this video, but take it from me, there's little tiny black dots all over the place. And that's the staple diet of the carp, these tiny little snails. There's thousands of them all over the place, and it's no wonder the fish in here are packing the weight on and avoiding capture, because when you're competing against that, there's no reason to pick up anglers' baits. This one's going to be my last fish of the summer, because I'm about to start heading off on my summer holidays now for a couple of weeks. And to be fair, it's come just in time, because the last couple of weeks have been pretty hard going on here for me. I've not had anything at all, so for this to be my last session before I go off on the summer, it's come right at the right time, because I'm now full of confidence and I'm brimming to get back down here in a couple of weeks' time. But so far so good on the pit. I've had a good couple of months, I've had some lovely fish. And most of all, I've learned lots of lessons which I can hopefully put to good use when I get back down here in a few weeks' time.